Anjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So yesterday we began the discussion on text 5, verse 5 of the Manashiksha. Asat cheshta kashtaprada vikata pashali bir iha prakamyam kamadi prakadpata patya vetikare gale badvahanneham iti bakabid vartmapa gane kurutvam futkaran avati sa yatatvam mana ita. So there's asat cheshta, the desires based on kama, krodha, moha, kashtaprada, and they are vikata partially. These are like the ropes. And these are why? Because of prakama kamadi, prakata. Because of these shad ripus. And this path of devotion is prakata patha vetikare. It is self-illumined. On this path, while traversing, these 6 enemies attack. And gale badya hanneham. They tie us with these ropes. So you should call out, hanneham, I've been killed. And you should call out, bakabid vartmapa gane. You should call him. And how you should call him? Kurutvam futkaran. You should pitilessly, just like a child cries for the mother, we should call out for the devotees of Bakabid, the killer of Baka. And they are like the policemen, they will come and save us. They will save us from these enemies. And that's how Raghunath Das Goswami is mentioning how now the subtle obstacles, the subtle anarthas which are there in the heart, how we should deal with them. We saw these 6 highway robbers, the 6 enemies, and how they capture by the noose necks of the devotees, and how when we call out, the servants of killers of Baka come and rescue us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary mentions is quite brief, and how these 6 things they attack And Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes 2.62 and 6.3. Adhyayato Vishayan Pumsan and Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary on that. And then he mentions how this asat cheshta is the kashtaprada. These are these wicked deeds, and they are compared to the ropes which are tied to the neck, and they cause pain. So this asat cheshta are the wicked deeds which are compared to the ropes, and the teachings of the great devotees will free us from that ropes. And we should call out Bakabid Vartma. Vartma means followers, Pa means the devotees. We should call out them and they will save us. So this desperately crying out for the Vaishnavas' help is a very, very important principle. And if we do that, we just will be protected from these 6 subtle enemies, the 6 ripus, the 6 enemies which are there in the heart. And the prayers, he gives the prayers of how one should glorify these great devotees. There are 3 prayers, and all these 3 prayers are quoted. And the association of these pure devotees reflects, the purity of their heart. It will reflect in our heart, and that's why we should associate especially with devotees who are free from envy to remove the impurities. So that was the Manah Shiksha Bhasha also yesterday we discussed. It's a very simple explanation. Today we will go into the commentary of Shivram Swami Maharaj. It is simple and brief, but Bhaktivigyan Gaurav Swami Maharaj goes into quite a deep, elaborate analysis, which also we will begin today. So let us begin with Shivram Swami Maharaj commentary. This is a very important verse because in verse 4, gross obstacles were explained, but now more subtle obstacles are being described. Asat cheshta kashtaprada vikata pashalabir iha prakamya kamadi. So in the 4th verse, the gross obstacles were spoken. Asat Varta and Kata Mukti Vyagra and Api Tektva Lakshmipati. Now, more subtle obstacles are being spoken in verse 5. In verse 5 of the Manah Shiksha. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Sanatan Goswami, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Ka Bonai Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Koraya Uday. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Ka Bonai. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by the hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. Shravanadi means beginning with hearing. Our anarthas are purified through hearing and chanting. Very, very important point, that the anarthas which are residing in the heart are purified through the process of hearing and chanting. And that's why Shivram Swami Maharaj quoted this verse, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. Everything in bhakti begins with hearing and chanting. The same with kamadi, which means beginning with lust, kam. So in bhakti, everything begins with hearing and chanting. And the same way, everything begins with kam, lust. The word kamadi means the problem doesn't end with kam, or kam is not the one or principal obstacle, but there are others. That's why the term has been used, kama adi. Kam adi has been used. So what are these next obstacles or anathas towards our advancement in Krishna consciousness? Paragraph 3. Kamadi begins with kam and the other things headed by kam. Kam is leading the charge. Kam means lust. And what follows lust is anger, greed, illusion, arrogance, and envy. These are the 6 main enemies or anarthas which are represented by this word kamadi. So Kam Adi refers to, Adi means following them, and these are the 6 in number. So they are Vetikare, likened to highwaymen or thugs. They are compared to highway thugs. The example is very nice because even a materialist can appreciate it. So, in the olden times, especially those who were trading with pearls, gems, or some valuable things, so they also used to go carry these goods through the jungle area and go to other towns and villages, sell them, and come back. And there was always a fear that the highway robbers, these dacoits, might rob them. So, similarly, these 6 enemies rob the real wealth, that is pure devotion. So, that's why this example is very, very nice, which Raghunath Das Goswami is giving. We are on our path back home, back to Godhead. Then there are highwaymen who are there to stop you, obstacles on the path. They want to steal your wealth. We have already discussed that this wealth is our devotional treasure. So the wealth is devotional treasure, which was discussed in 4th verse. Whatever little is there, we want to protect it. But there are these anarthas present who are actually trying to steal our wealth. Remember, 15, 20 years of practice and being caught up by this anartha of Kamadi, any of these 6, one act can destroy all the 20 years of effort, and it can take us, deviate us from the path of pure devotions. That's how powerful these enemies are. We should remember that. They steal our wealth in very exacting ways, sometimes in very subtle ways, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur illuminates. He says that we become tormented. They torment us. They catch us. How do they catch us? Vikata Pashali bhi. They have ropes. And yesterday, it was mentioned how there are ropes with a small circle by which we can catch horses, and so they suddenly take this rope and throw it, and it is on your neck, and the moment it is in the neck, then they pull it and the rope becomes tighter. So they catch us through these ropes. How can we get away from these anarthas, kamadi, lust, and their friends? They are in the heart, and even if we say, get rid of them, throw them out, they are really tied onto us. So how do you get rid of them? Even if we get away, they come back again, just like a yo-yo that comes back again. You can't get rid of it. So yo-yo, or they play that, children play that, or there is a boomerang, when you throw it in the air, it goes up and again comes back. So Ravan is a personified form of calm. Is a personified form of calm. And Ravan had 10 heads, you know that. So when Ram was shooting the arrows and he was severing one of the heads, that head is to disappear, being cut by the arrow, but again it is to pop up. So the lesson is that sometimes, we think that certain desires, lust for enjoying with the practice are gone. But again, after a few months or a few years, these desires to enjoy kama pop up again in our consciousness, in the mind. So like that, how do we get rid of them? That is the problem Maharaj is mentioning. We are very tightly bound. Vikata Pashali Bir, we are very tightly bound. How are they tied to us? Gale means around the neck. So they have tied us around the neck. Badva, we are bound by the neck by Asat Cheshta, the rope of wicked deeds. We are tied up by the rope of wicked deeds. The kamadi are the cause and result of wicked deeds. They are very difficult to unravel. Where is the beginning? Where is the end? We are bound with ropes around the neck and we are being strangled. So this is our situation. We have to understand. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the result of this strangling is that we feel great pain. And we all know that, desires based on lust, anger, greed cause great pain to the soul. We are, we are, we are pained inside in the heart. We are put into all kinds of distressing situations and sometimes forced into so many futile endeavors, even against our will. So, which verse in the Bhagavad Gita expresses this? That we sometimes futilely, worthlessly endeavor against our will sometimes. So, which verse in the Gita does this represent? Where it is mentioned in the Gita? Anyone knows which verse of the Gita? Krishnapad Prabhuji, yes.
Baladiva niyojita.
Baladiva niyojita.
It is about Kama. I am not getting the first this thing part of the verse.
Yes. Atakena praktayam papam purusha annichanapi vashnaya baladiva niyojita. Yes, that's the verse. That's the right verse. This is Arjuna's question. Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha annichanapi vashneya baladiva niyojita. So, annichan api vashneya balad iva niyojita. Balad iva it is niyojita. So, it's a very, very important verse. And Arjuna's question is very, very pertinent here. And graphically, the way he's expressing it, I will just discuss this verse and then take up the question. Atakena, what is it by which? Prayuktoyam. Yukta means to engage. Yoga means to link to the Lord. But here, yukta is used in a negative connotation sense that the senses get engaged in sense objects for enjoyment. And not just yukta, prayukta, prakrishta rupena yukta. Yukta in what? Papam charati. He is yukt in pahapa, actions of asatcheshta. And he is yukta. Why? He is not desiring that, but annichanapi. Annichan, he doesn't desire, but still he is pushed because of the impressions in the mind, because of the kam vasana in the mind, because of the mode of Rajagun. And he's addressing Arjuna, Krishna as Varshneya. You are from the Vrishni Vamsha. Please, enlighten me. Baladiva. Balad means out of force. Niyojita. So this Niyojita, if you have heard the term called as noose, the bull is tied by the ropes through the nose, and that's called as a noose, Niyojita. So the bull is such a powerful animal, but just by tying it through the ropes, especially passing through the nose, you can, drag the bull anywhere you want. So by force, I have been dragged to commit this sinful activity. Prayuktoyam. What is the reason? What is the reason? Against my desire. Annichan, against my desire. Why I've been forced to do something very, very strong, these ropes are. So these ropes are very, very strong. So yes, Rasparani Mataji has a question. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, there was a hand raised. Okay. Yeah. So, Niyojita. Arjuna also used this term, Niyojita, in 3.1 also. After Krishna spoke the second chapter, and hearing that, Arjuna spoke here, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojasi keshava. So, Krishna spoke about Nishkama Karma Yoga from 2.47, Karmanyeva Adhikaraste, till 2.53, where Nishkama Karma Yoga, when it matures, you become a Sthita Pragya. And that is the Jnana point. You're a self-realized soul. And the symptoms of the self-realized soul, Arjuna asked question, and those symptoms are discussed from 2.55 to 72. So Arjuna wants to intelligently avoid the war. And he wants to take sannyas and take up the path of Gyan. Although he is not qualified, because his adhikar is for karma. So he's saying, Jayasi, when it is better, then this karma, Nishkama Karma Yoga, that is better. Buddhi, that is Gyan, is better than Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam. Why are you engaging in this Ghora Karma? Krishna, Niyojasi. This is the same word, Niyojasi, you are engaging me. So, he's telling, why are you, forcing me to do karma of fighting this battle when I can be situated in Gyan and go to the forest, renounce this world, and just sit and meditate, just like a rope is being tied to the bull. So that's how Arjuna is, you can say, sarcastically addressing Krishna. And Krishna, when he hears this verse, he stares at Arjuna. Then Arjuna becomes a little sober. And then he says, he clarifies, no, your words are very mixed, vyamishena, and it is bewildering my buddhi. So you tell me for certain what is best for me. So he sobers down and humbles him and then asks him like that. So I just brought out this Niyojita because Niyojita was here. That's the reason. So let's continue what Maharaj has to say on this verse. So walking along the highway are all these dacoits. They have their ropes of past sinful activities around our neck, strangling us, almost killing us. So these impressions in the form of vasanas are sitting there always in the conscious and the subconscious mind deep. What will we do? Futkaran, meaning that we will have to cry out, scream. The actual word is scream. And that's why sometimes, because we are grown up, we become hesitant to scream out. But we should scream out. We should scream out genuinely from the heart. In fact, Mahabhagavat, exalted, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself practiced this when he was staying in Mayapur in the Godrum Dweep. Sometimes his neighbor used to tell that, Hey Radhe, hey Vrajadevike, hey Radhe, hey Krishna. He used to call out, he used to cry out, and he used to genuinely cry out like that. So you might, we might feel difficult, how can we call out in the public, what others will think, what they will hear. But, this is how a pure devotee is crying out for Krishna. But right now, we are not at that situation where we can do that. But we have to now be attacked by these enemies, and we have to cry out for the devotees' help. Scream very loudly. Whom do we scream very loudly? Bakabid Vartmapa Gane. We call for Bakabid. Baka means Bakasur, and Bakabid means Bakabid is the person who killed Bakasur, Krishna. We must scream for help. These highwaymen of lust and his cohorts have bound me by the neck with painful, horrible, strong ropes of many wicked deeds. We must beseech our mind to scream out to the devotees of Krishna, the killer of Baka, help, I have been killed. Not that we simply whisper. I was mentioning you should visualize, two friends are standing on a cliff of a mountain. Suddenly the other one slips and is now gliding down. And he catches a branch of a tree. So how will he call out for help? My dear friend, please, lift me. Save me! He'll cry out. He'll not just whisper. He'll cry from the core of the heart. So we have to scream out from the core of the heart at this point. Yes, Abhishek Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Prabhuji, as you said that we need to cry it out. Sorry, I interrupted now only because I will not be able to. Basic is like, but we are not feeling the pain actually. Like as you said, the man is falling down, but extension is that he's getting a drop of honey in his mouth. So the tendency is to enjoy the honey and forget all other things. And so how do we manage that? Because we want to really enjoy and the lusty desires and everything, but we don't feel that it is hurting us or it is bringing pain to us.
Yes, yes. This will come up. Kindly hold on. This will come up. We'll go into the deep subtle conditioning which we have, where we need to work on. This will come up in Bhakti Gyan Goswami's commentary, maybe today or tomorrow. Just hold on for this. Okay. Someone has to hear us. So why Baka? Bakasur embodies deceit. And we will see later that this deceit is the most difficult problem to unearth. So Bakasura embodies duplicity. And Raghunath Das Goswami will speak about this in the next coming verse. After you conquer even the 6 enemies, you might think the obstacles are over. No, there is still subtler enemy in the form of duplicity. And then the subtlest is Pratishta Asha, which will be dealt in the 7th verse. So it's a difficult problem to unearth. So Bakasura embodies deceit, and that's why we should specifically call out Bakabid, the Krishna, the killer of Bakasura. Kama comes in so many different alluring and attractive forms. Women, children, home, husband, paraphernalia, all kinds of things, and they are very deceiving. So that's why, we get caught up in all this enjoyment and we don't think that this is calm and all, because they are very, very deceiving. Of all of these things seems to be very attractive, but in the 5th canto, Sukdev Goswami gives the analogy that all the family members are like thieves. Even though we might think, oh, this is my dear husband, oh, this is my dear wife and children. Actually, they are all thieves, stealing our hard-earned treasure, not money, but actually one's hopes for advancement in spiritual life. This is the meaning of Baka, duplicity, where a friend is really an enemy. So as you are also mentioning, Abhishek Prabhu, first thing is, that we are so much caught up in the pleasures of, even in the Krishna conscious association of family and all, that we are being deceived. We don't know that. So first is to recognize that we are deceived. Moment we become consciousness that we have been deceived of that real treasure and we are floating in the affection of family, friendship, and love, then we recognize the disease and then we can actually call out also. How will we be saved? What should we do? First, we have to be convinced that we are in a dangerous situation. So, first point is that we have to get convinced that we are in a dangerous situation. So if we don't realize that, then where is the question of calling? I had heard once a devotee somewhere in the eastern countries, I don't know, it is Malaysia or Indonesia, somewhere there. He was the head pujari, he was a brahmachari pujari. Many years he was doing deity worship. And he felt the need that no, I have not gone out and enjoyed the world. So he gave up his deity worship, gave up the saffron clothes, put on karmi clothes, and he said, now I want to go and enjoy in this world. I want to first go to the beach and enjoy in the beach. So he went to the beach, and there he was taking bath in the beach. He went in the ocean, and suddenly he was, enjoying there, taking the ocean bath. And he saw that there was a huge shark coming towards him. And now he was really in trouble. He was in danger. He could not do anything because he was in the midst of ocean and he just could not do anything. And this shark was very close to him. And then suddenly the shark started encircling him, and it encircled him for 3 times. He did the parikrama, circumambulation, and went away. And he was, in fact, from the heart crying out, but there was no one there to help him. And then immediately when the shark went away, he just ran back to the beach, put on his clothes, straight ran to the temple, and he was back in the service. So sometimes we are not convinced that, we are in a dangerous situation when we are, out there enjoying the material world. And we think our friends, are our really friends. But, we have to understand a friend can be really an enemy. That's why Bhaktivinoda Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is to make a statement. But those who are, who glorify me are my real enemies. But those who criticize me are my real friends because they are finding faults in me. So in that sense, he was saying that. Sometimes we think it's all right, I will handle it myself. It's not such a big thing to get away with it. I may learn more later in Krishna consciousness. So if we are not aware of the danger, we don't think it is such a bad thing. So first thing is our alarm doesn't ring in the consciousness that it is not such a dangerous thing. It's not such a bad thing. If we recognize the dangers, then automatically we want to be saved. We want to be saved. Then Futkaran, we scream out, Bakabid Vartmapa Vane, to the unalloyed devotees of the Lord. So we call out the unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, they are like Krishna's police force. And just as the police force guards a certain place, devotees are the guardians of our path of devotion. So it is very, very important, especially sadhakas and devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness, to have spiritual mentors who are very, very intimate, who have a very nice intimate relationship, and who act as confidentials, where we can reveal our heart to them and they maintain confidentiality. And we should have not only spiritual mentors, we should also have Shiksha Gurus who are very elevated, whom we have a very intimate relationship and they are accessible to us. And by having these kind of circles, in fact, the more we advance in spiritual life, the more we see all these subtle problems, and the more we are encircled around with these barriers in the form of a association of like-minded devotees within our circle, and in the form of spiritual mentors and Shiksha Gurus, all who are above us, whom we can regularly consult, then we are like, having a strong police force who can guard us in the path of devotion. Very, very important this is. That is their service. That is a responsibility of a Vaishnava, to guard the path of devotion. So these exalted, unalloyed devotees, they are Their business is to guard the path of devotion. And Maharaj gives the example of Prabhupada. We saw the nature often with Srila Prabhupada. He was like a policeman. As soon as he saw some deviation in devotees in his society, that they had gone towards Mayavad or Sahajism, and most especially philosophical deviation, Prabhupada would immediately be like a policeman, immediately arresting the person, correcting the situation, eradicating and purifying any anomaly he came across. So Prabhupada always acted like that. Moment, Mayavad, we know that famous incident when some of the sannyasis started claiming Prabhupada is God. Immediately, he called a GBC meeting and suspended that sannyasis, and he punished them, by which that they should go and preach out without any facilities in any ISKCON centers. So, that was the punishment, correcting the situation. Prabhupada used to correct the situation, and he used to correct in such a way that it is to maintain the sanctity and the purity of his society, and it is to purify them also. The correction is to be in such a way that it is to purify them. So I remember once two brahmacharis were fighting with each other, and somehow one of the sannyasis was there, and it came to him, and he gave a punishment that, you both have to chant 32 rounds. Immediately correcting. So by chanting, it's going to purify. So that's how Prabhupada was like that. Once, one of the temple presidents came to Prabhupada and complained about a GBC sannyasi, that this sannyasi is not chanting his rounds. And Prabhupada was wild like fire on the temple president. He said, do you think Arjuna was chanting? He was in the war. He was shooting arrows. That was his service. So immediately he reprimanded the temple president who complained. And after he left, Prabhupada immediately called the GBC, person against whom this temple president had a complaint, and immediately he told him that I know you're always busy, you're doing service for Krishna, but it's also important that you chant your rounds. So he, by correcting the temple president of that fault of seeing, that he's not engaging in chanting, Prabhupada did not, agree with him, and he gave a reasoning that even Arjuna was fighting and he was very heavy. At the same time, he corrected him, the sannyasi also. So both ways, it was purifying both for the temple president and for the GBC sannyasis. This was how Prabhupada had that art, which is very, very, very difficult, and the wisdom by which he is to balance the situation. So the devotees who are Bakabid Vartmakane, which indicates they are free from deceit, can assist us. So those who are free from deceit only can assist us. We should not call out Krishna. We should call out the followers of Krishna, who is the killer of demon Baka, Gani. Please remember this. Don't call out Krishna. Krishna is not going to come to save you. It's Krishna's devotee. That's why it's very, very specific. If they themselves are deceitful, how they can assist somebody? They protect the path of bhakti from deceit. They protect it. Otherwise, deceit becomes a very great obstacle, and we will read later on why it is so. It will come up in the next verse. The nature of deceit is not only that one tries to deceive others, but one also deceives oneself. This karma and all, because it is our own, within ourselves, and we feel it is, our own voice speaking, but it is our enemy's voice in the form of the mind which is speaking. So we get deceived. We get trapped by that. So this is the nature of deceit. Therefore, one loses sight of which path is the real path. We need real association. By association, one becomes free from this deceitful mentality. This is the method of purification. This is the method of purification. Last paragraph. Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarizes that devotees guard against pretenders and deceit, which prey on innocent Vaishnavas practicing devotional service. The purport is that the heart and the consciousness cannot be purified by sacrifices from a yoga and any other activity, but only by the association of pure devotees. Narottam Das Thakur also says that not only will these problems go away with the particular demons identified with each anartha, but they can also be engaged or purified. So each of these six anarthas represents a particular demon. But Narottam Das Thakur in his bhajan, Prema Bhakti Chandrika, mentions that each of these anarthas like Kama, Krodha, Lobha can be engaged in Krishna's service, by which it can be purified. What is the method of purification? He says he will offer his lust in the service of Lord Krishna. So just meditate, I have lusty desire to eat certain items. So I engage that by making those items for Krishna's pleasure and serving them to the Vaishnavas. Serving them to the Vaishnavas. So that's how that propensity for lust, can be engaged in Krishna's service. The examples are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Anger, what do I do with anger? Prabhupada gives the example of Hanumanji and Arjuna. Of course, Hanuman and Arjuna are eternal associates. They can utilize anger, but for devotees, we have to be very careful. My greed, I am very greedy. What do I do with this greed? I should become very greedy for the association of Vaishnavas and to hear Krishna Katha. So this tendency for greed, it's very, very subtle. So the more I become greedy for Sangha, greedy for Krishna Katha, that's how I dovetail greed. Delusion or bewilderment, moha, how do I purify both? I should be deluded or completely bewildered if I am in the absence of devotees. Very beautiful. When I'm feeling in I'm I'm in such illusion that I'm bereft of devotees. So being meditating like this, that is how you can become free from moha. In other words, I should feel great separation from Krishna, thinking, where is Krishna? And pride, how do I purify pride? I should be very proud that I have such a wonderful supreme person, such a wonderful master whom I am serving. That's how I should be proud. Among the six enemies, it's only envy which cannot be engaged in the service of the Lord. Envy is what we need to really work out to uproot it. So among the six, at least five, Narottam Das Thakur gives the solution how it can be engaged, how these anarthas can be engaged in Krishna service, and we can get rid of them. He is full of wonderful opulences, transcendental glories, so beautiful and wise and kind. I should be proud of these things. So that's why we should read the Krishna chapter, Wonderful Krishna. Such a wonderful master I have. We should read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where the transcendental qualities of Krishna are mentioned. This type of dovetailing of these particular qualities will naturally bring them to the pure state. So this is the solution also, how to engage these anarthas, which Narottam Das Thakur speaks in his Prema Bhakti Chandrika, which Maharaj is quoting. Any questions on Shivram Swami Maharaj commentary? Anyone has? Any questions, any clarifications? There is one question, Dr. Archana Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
How can we detach ourselves from family members? Like I'm a mother of a daughter, and I'm very much attached to her.
Mhm.
So how can I detach myself from?
You need not detach yourself. Um, ultimately, it is a meditation which we should, practice in our life. That I have a role, a secondary role to play. That I am a mother. She is my daughter. I have a husband, and I have children. So all these roles, secondary roles which we have, we need to play them, as part of our secondary identity. But we should know that ultimately, I am Krishna's servant. That is my identity. And Krishna has sent me, this jiva for serving. So I have to see from that higher vision that I need to serve her in that role. So Krishna has put me in that role, and that's why I see that. So Krishna in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he mentions Pitamasya Jagata Mata Dhata Pitamaha. So this verse is very, very important. When we see from the Vibhiti Yoga perspective, and especially from the spiritual perspective, then things become very clear. I'll just show that verse. Pitaham asya jagato. So, 1 second. Yeah, this is the verse 917. Pitam asya jagato mata dhata pitama vedam pavitra omkara rig sam yajur evacha. Prabhupada mentions here, in material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal potency. So we create different relations. With the husband, it is a different relationship. With the daughter, it's a different relationship. Under the creation of Prakriti, some appear as father, mother, grandfather, creator, or daughter also. But actually, who are they? They are part and parcels of Krishna. This is how we should see them. As such, these living entities who appear to be our mother, father are nothing but Krishna. Please meditate on this statement. So when a mother is serving the child, and that child is part and parcel of Krishna, that child being part and parcel of Krishna is nothing but a representative of Krishna, and it is Krishna. So how we would do take care of Krishna? In the same way we should take care of our children. That is, seeing from spiritual vision. And there is reciprocation, no doubt. But that reciprocation is actually also coming from Krishna. We should see that. If a mother in this world can love me so much and so dedicated and committed, Krishna is like millions of mothers. What is the reciprocation and affection he has on the spiritual platform? Because our relationship with Krishna is eternal. The relationships which we form, this will get destroyed with the body. But this relationship is on the soul and it is eternal. So this kind of meditation helps us to even act in our secondary roles, and seeing that roles also, that reciprocations from the pure point of rasa, that ultimately it is coming from Krishna. These reciprocations are coming from, and that's how we should perform our duties. And those duties are directly, in one sense, dovetailing directly to the Supreme. I hope it is clear, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Any other questions of Shivram Maharaj commentary? Okay, so then we have some time, and we will today begin with the commentary of Bhaktivedanta Goswami, which is a little quite in-depth and exhaustive. And we will conclude this. It will take at least 2 classes to finish this. Okay. So paragraphs 1 to 4, Asat Cheshta Kashtaprada. That's what Maharaj is going to speak. This is a very important verse for all of us. Asat Cheshta Kashtaprada. Cheshta means efforts. But what kind of Cheshta? Asat Cheshta means false, futile, meaningless efforts. So one of the meditations devotees can have, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is mentioned, Akhila Cheshta Krishnarte. This is one of the limbs, that all the Cheshta we endeavor for Krishnarte, for Krishnartha, for the purpose of Krishna. But sometimes we might endeavor Cheshta based on pullings of Kam, Krodha or Lobha. So it is for our intelligence to evaluate whether my Cheshta is Sat Cheshta or Asat Cheshta. Think about it before you endeavor. And moment you recognize, no, it is Asat Cheshta, we have to cry out, we have to call out. Kashta means suffering, Prada means yielding. Asat Cheshta, Kashta Prada. Kashta means suffering and Prada means it gives yield. Asat Cheshta, Kashta Prada. Raghunath Das Goswami says that our life consists of futile efforts. In Soviet literature, there is a famous piece by Ila Elf, I don't know who is this, and Yevgeny Petrov called The Golden Calf. I have no idea about this whole literature in the Soviet country. It pictures the fate of a man who has been striving after 1,000,000 rubles all his life. So he was striving to attain a lot of wealth. He did get 1,000,000 and then said, the dream of an idiot has come true. This was his realization. So much of cheshta he was doing. Raghunath Das Goswami says the same thing, that all these kind of striving for, getting things or achievements in this world are all asat cheshta. Asat cheshta kashta prada, vikata. Vikata means very severe suffering. Vikata, Vishesh Rupena Kashta is very severe suffering. The efforts we make and the labor we expend in this world makes us suffer. But both our effort and the fruits are actually asat. The effort is asat, the fruit is also asat because it is temporary. It will be destroyed by time. Something that has no reality or meaning. Pashali bir. Pasha means rope. He says, these ropes have tied me. They have tied me. The karma we create has tied our hand and foot, causing us excruciating pain. We may think, now I need just a little money. I will first earn 1,000,000 and then I will peacefully perform bhajan. Thus we start to work saying, I need some money, just a little. I just have to reach my financial goal. 30 years pass by and we have made little or no spiritual progress. So this is how Maya works. This is how the mind tricks us with asat cheshta. We think I need just 1,000,000. I remember one of the devotees who was working in a very big software company, and he started a software company thinking that, I would like to support, ISKCON projects. And, by starting this software company, I will make a lot of money and then, give this for the ISKCON projects. But he ended up, doing asat cheshta, and, he could not, maintain his spiritual life practices also. So this is how we get deceived, and we have to be very, very careful about it. And that's why we might get caught up in these things. And where in the Updeshamrit also Rupa Goswami warns about this? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Where in the Updeshamrit he warns about this? Birendra Yadav Prabhuji. Wait, 1 minute, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji, hold on. Geeta Mataji, you have raised your hand. I would like to hear. Where in the Updeshamrit?
Prabhuji, Atyahar Prayasasya.
Yes, Atyahar. That Atyahar is that desire to endeavor. And because of that desire, you do prayas. Shadbir Bhakti Vinashati. These meaningless efforts bind our hand and foot, and we create more karmic debts. So by this Asat Cheshta, we have endeavored, and there is again the chain of action, reaction is continuous now. So we have created more karmic debts. Instead of becoming the chit becoming peaceful, there is no more of activity which you have done, and the chit impressions have become more and more. Decades later, instead of millions, we have only increased these debts. Therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami says that by these ropes, here, iha, I am tied up. Iha. What is it? Prakama kamadi prakata pata pati vetikare. There are a gang of thugs, vetikare, and it is they who have tied us. It is they who have tied us. Now Maharaj is going to go into an elaborate analysis of this prakama kamadi, that lust. He's going to discuss that. But any questions on this first theme, what we discussed in the first paragraph, paragraphs 1 to 4? Any questions on this? Asat Cheshta Kashtaprada. Okay, so let's now begin with this. Today we will start this discussion and we'll continue this discussion tomorrow also, because it is for many paragraphs. It starts from paragraph 5, lust. Now hear this very carefully and understand, and as Abhishek had asked this question also, Abhishek Prabhuji, that will also be answered now here. Prakama Kamadi, the chief of that gang is Kam, lust. Kam has 5 underlinings: Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Now, there are different ways you can analyze, but here I will give 2 different analyses. This is for us to understand. How do we know that there is Kama? Because when that Kam is not fulfilled, there is Krodha. So Krodha, manifestation of Krodha indicates that there is Kam. And there is, how do we know that we are in illusion, moha? Because there is deep-rooted lobha. Lobha is the symptom by which we can understand that the moha is so powerful illusion. I remember once one of my friends told a story. It's a true story. How, the elder brother was taking care of the mother. The younger brother had got married to a girlfriend, and he separated from the elder brother and even the mother, and he was staying. And he many years did not come home and see his mother also. And he was in a bank, and his main job was to collect insurances and collect the funds of the premiums and all like that. So he had a lot of greed for money because he was also married. And after many years, he suddenly one day crying came to the brother, "Oh brother, so many days I've not taken care of the mother. I love my mother. Oh mother, please come and stay with me." please come to my home. And like that, hearing the words of the younger child, the mother's heart also melted, and she went to the younger son's house. And within few days after taking care, he got her to sign some papers. And the moment he signed the papers, he kicked the mother out back and sent her to the elder brother. And then the mother narrated that, he told me to sign some papers, and the mother had a property in her name. And he had now agreed to have that property. So he wrote it in his name. And then this is how moha is. That even the elder brother and the mother could not understand, because of illusion, that this person is all doing this acting, it's all deceit because of lobha. So karma is, karma is a desire to enjoy, but when it becomes subtler, it takes the form of lobha. And subtler is matsarya, envy. And how does envy manifest? In pride. When you speak out of proud, when you make some words which are out of pride, then that indicates that it is matsarya. So what is matsarya? Matsarya is nothing but lust, but it is subtler and subtler lust. So that's how also one way we can analyze. Of course, this is out of context I'm discussing now, but it is very important. What is this, kama, these six? In fact, there's a whole clan, a family succession of thugs working together, a family succession, mother says. Raghunath Das Goswami says that gang has attacked. That gang has attacked. I was walking along the spiritual path, and suddenly out of nowhere, Kam, Krodha, Lobha jumped out. Crying out and encircling me, they started tying me up. Here in this verse, Raghunath Das Goswami gives a highly practical advice. A highly practical advice on how to defeat our lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy. He says that these highwaymen are not just robbing us, but killing us. Hanneham, that's what the term he used. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, and Matsarya strangle us. What gives rise to Kam? Lust. I'll take this last paragraph. We need to know from which layer, den, Kama leaps out us. Everything can appear as being so perfect. The sun is shining, the air is clear, and suddenly out of nowhere, Kama appears and drags us somewhere, forcing us to act. And we say, yes, I need to do that. So how does this Kama suddenly leap out? What is the whole analysis? A very nice analysis Maharaj is going to do that, which will come up. And I don't want to take it ahead because that is a whole discussion, and it will require some time for us to understand. So in the next class, we will go into that. Hold on now. How does this suddenly come out, this karma? From where does it leap out? What is the root of it? Maharaj is going to go to it. And from the root, how to eliminate it? Maharaj is going to give a very, very practical advice, which we will take up tomorrow. But up till now, anyone has any questions or clarifications? Okay, so then I'll stop here. So tomorrow, stay on for the very, very important analysis of the root of this Kam. Where is this root line? And Maharaj is going to address that root. And how do we eliminate this thing from the root, which is the practical advice given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that we will see tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai, Shri Manah Shiksha ki jai. Hare Krishna.